Good evening and welcome to the Town of Auburn Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, September 10th, 2019. Now called to order at 7 p.m. This meeting is being broadcast and recorded live by local access programming. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that's recording tonight's meeting? Hearing none. Please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I'd like to remind the audience, applicants, town administrator, and each of the planning board members to please refrain from asking questions in regard to all matters discussed this evening without first being granted my consent. First item on the agenda this evening is Walter Koza, 47 Stone Street, A&R.
So this was actually for the board past winter. There was, I forget exactly the issue was, but there was a problem with land court. So they told them to come back to us to add some wording to the plan, just to re-sign and also they can get it recorded.
Okay. So we need a motion on that? Or?
Yeah, motion to,
Could you split out two lots there, and you built the house in the back on one?
Yeah, the front one and then
It's already built.
the main court is
Any questions?
That's over here.
no, this one.
Everybody else set?
Yeah, also.
Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the plan.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Yeah, good idea.
Go.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So he went with the case, yes. Nope.
The conservation is the way, they do have two
Make up the
things.
approval from Concom. Make up the approval from Concom.
Yep, and they're reaching site plan for maybe buying properties and showing what conservation. Thank you. Yeah. Think so.
This, none of that there, they don't need that. That we might ask about.
We all set on that one?
Did you have a line?
705 applicant APB Inc., Troy Sports Bar requesting site plan approval under section 9.4.1 of the Auburn zoning bylaws. The extension of non-conforming use, proposed deck on property located at 125 Oxford Street North, map 10, parcel 82. Come on up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maureen Finley from Finley Engineering Services. Dave Troy from APB Inc. is here in the audience. Start with this plan. Last time I was here, we reviewed the proposal for a deck off of Troy Sports Bar. So here's your existing building and an existing residential building in the back. The purple right here is the proposed deck area. We're proposing some green space near the entry to the driveway to kind of restrict the entryway a little bit down to 24 feet. It's all just wide open right now. We're proposing some resealing on the existing pavement and the existing crushed asphalt area, along with some striping to define the parking. We've got 35 parking spaces proposed, 2 of them van accessible handicap. We are in a riverfront zone. We're also in 100 feet to the wetland that has been flagged by Ecotech. As far as proposed work, the only other thing that we're looking to do is give the water a little bit of room to drain. So right now, we're not changing the drainage path whatsoever. But what we are adding is a swale, kind of shown here in pink, with a small sump area and just a little ponding area to hold it before it goes over and down towards the wetland and the river as it does right now. There is an existing riprap swale there right now, but it really just runs from a low point kind of straight down. So we're going to stabilize that and make that a little more formal. So the water will just all flow down, it will get caught up in the riprap swale. It'll release some of the sediments and the fines, and then it will once maybe wait in the sump a little bit and then run down into where it goes right now. So last time we were here, we were awaiting the response from Graves Engineering for the peer review, and we were also hoping for Conservation Commission approval, which we did receive last week. And Graves Review only asked for a couple of things, and that was for one, to fix my locust map up in the corner, if something had not printed right. And the other thing they asked for was that I add the map and lot numbers to each of the abutters, which I've done. I think that's about it. Does anybody have any questions about anything we spoke about last time or just reviewed?
Steve?
None.
John?
The only question I had was on from where you do the head-in parking toward your riprap swale.
Mhm.
Are there gonna be car stops there, tire stops? Otherwise, somebody can just drive right in because it's wide open.
Right, so you had asked for some curb stops and wheel stops. Dave, what was your reaction to that? To the wheel stops that they had asked for last time? You'd asked for the individual curb stops?
Curb stones, whatever you.
Oh, just the wheel stops. You see them, they're precast, they just
Yeah.
drive 2 iron pins in
Yeah,
them.
cement
Just keep
curb
somebody from rolling over the edge. Down the hill?
Hit the swale, yeah.
Yeah. That's all I had.
So we'll make that a condition.
Condition, yep.
Yep.
How many people can go on the deck?
It's sized for approximately, I think the number was, let's see, so I had
It's
seating
not
of
gonna exceed
46
the total limit of the
chairs.
building itself, it's got
Right.
54 people, it's not gonna exceed, it's not gonna go any higher than that, inside and out.
Right, but by just, you want to just define.
So
what
proposed,
we
it
can
says
fit.
46 chairs
Mm-hmm.
and stools for the proposed,
On the deck.
on the deck.
Right,
And the total for the whole place is 54.
Inside. yeah.
So at any given time between the deck and the inside, they won't exceed 54.
It may a few times here and there, but nothing, it's not, the building's very small, it's not that big inside, so 54 is very, very crowded if you put 54 in there.
right, they have room for 37 chairs and stools inside now, and 46 outside, and I believe that's approximately what the area is for the building code occupancy loading as well.
And what are your proposed hours
83.
Right now,
Oh.
for the deck?
For the deck.
we'll close probably 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock latest, if that. No music, no bright lights, no crazy stuff. I'd like actually to shut down at 10, 11 o'clock.
There are some conditions to that on the special permit that we already have in writing.
I think it's 10 PM.
I think so too.
Do you have that with you?
I actually don't know, I marked out without that.
Probably have it, I don't have it printed out.
Yeah, it's gonna be 10 o'clock.
That's the variance, right?
Yeah.
No light entertainment.
Which I would take to be bands and or anything
Yeah.
like that.
No comedians.
DJs, anything like that.
I don't see
I don't see
time.
anything for a time, so we condition that then. All right, so wheel stops at 10 PM. These are the conditions. Anything else, Ron? Anyone in the audience have anything to add in regards to Troy's? Okay,
Close
close the hearing. Motion to close.
I'll make the motion to close the hearing.
Second,
Second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve with conditions, wheel stops for the parking spaces that abut the swale,
on the
and
river.
10
That whole
PM,
side where the river is.
10
10
PM
PM closing time.
closing, deck closing time, 10 PM.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. To vote. So we have the waiver requests on the lighting plan, landscape plan, traffic study, documentation of availability and adequacy of water and sewer. Graves, peer review, everything is copacetic, so I'll entertain a motion on the waiver.
Can we? Landscape, you said you were gonna do some landscape and some green stuff to shorten the
There's
width of the entrance anyways.
Close up that
Okay,
entrance.
so we'll just, I'm just, the only one I have any wonder about is the lighting plan. Are you adding any additional lighting? Are you gonna put,
For steps, just nothing, just so people can see when they're walking around, maybe along the rail or something, nothing bright, nothing crazy.
So
Yeah,
maybe
'cause there's no-
post caps on the posts that light up or something of that nature.
you gotta light the parking lot somehow,
The parking's already lit now.
already lit,
As a,
and it's shielded, there's no, the neighbors basically can't
There's
see
no
through the
neighbors on
trees.
that side,
The
yeah.
south side is the convenience store and that, and,
Yeah, the other side is the parking lot
the
and
pond
then the
and-
pond.
the pond
Yeah.
and the school, so.
Yeah.
it blocks any light from there, just to the north.
Anybody else? All set? Okay, entertain a motion of a waiver request.
I'll make a motion that we grant the waivers as requested.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Thank you very much.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. Good luck. NJ Realty Trust, Patrick Motors requesting to amend approved site plan allowing light vehicular and equipment sales on property located at 189 Washington Street, Auburn, Mass., map 35, parcel 12. Got a motion to open the hearing, please?
Make the motion, open the hearing.
Second.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening, everyone. Patrick McCarty, McCarty Engineering. Here with me tonight is Neil Patrick, trustee of NJ Realty Trust. Thank you for having us back this evening to entertain a request to amend the approved site plan for the proposed Patrick Mazda project at 519 Washington Street. Oh, I'm sorry, 189, yeah. Got the Volvo Volkswagen on my head. 189 Washington Street. So this is the plan that the board originally approved a couple months ago. Just to refresh everybody's memory, Route 20 here along the bottom, power lines, West Tech Drive, the existing cheerleading building that's now partially demolished. And this was the proposed Mazda dealership, and the access driveway ramped up from Washington Street to a platform that had the building and some parking. Then we continued to ramp up, and we had terraced parking as we went up the hill. So we had retaining wall parking several times up the hill. After we received approval, we went through and did a full site work estimate. I think I mentioned to you last time that our company also self-performs the site work and builds the building. So we estimated this project, and turned out to be pretty expensive to build the multiple tiers. The approved plan has 8 proposed retaining walls, a small one here, replacement of the one that's failing along the driveway, a small one here, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we had 8 retaining walls totaling almost 20,000 square feet of retaining wall face, and then a significant export of excess material. So having looked at that and realized that this design was going to be cost prohibitive, and I should note that the current approved plan has 388 parking spaces. So we did a little bit of redesign here. And we have the proposed plan that we're requesting the board's approval for. The driveway stays the same, the whole building platform stays the same, retaining walls 1, 2, and 3 stay the same. Retaining wall 4 gets slightly taller, about 4 feet taller, and it also wraps up the driveway. And what this allows us to do is continue ramping all the way up to the top of the site. We off-grade a little bit from the property line, to set this high corner elevation of the parking lot, and then we grade 5% diagonally across that, creating a more conventional parking layout. Spaces lining the perimeter, and then 3 rows of parking in the middle. Saves us 4 retaining walls, which cuts the face of the retaining walls down almost in half. Saves some export of material, and but the sacrifice is we only have 335 parking spaces now, so we're down 53 parking spaces from the original design. Not ideal for a car dealership, but gonna balance the economics of the site. So this
Did you say in the past that those were gonna be on the elevated areas, inventory cars? Or are they gonna be for vision by the people?
inventory cars,
Inventory.
and this is still inventory cars
The
up
direct
here.
sales area will be on the first level where...
Yeah, we have approximately 90 spaces down on this. So this is, customers would come up, they'd park at the front of the showroom, they'd have parking here, service customers, everybody, all the business for the customers would occur on the same platform that's not changing. The new vehicle storage would just be now at the top of the hill rather than terraced up the hill. It does reduce impervious area, obviously, because we're losing 50 spaces, so we have a reduction in impervious area, less retaining walls, less export. We had to redesign the drainage because each one of these tiers, they were all graded down, and there was a catch basin and an infiltrator at each one. So we had one large infiltrator here that we still have, and then we had 4 small ones. And now we have 2 big ones. One here and one here. So the plans did go to Graves for peer review. They sent us a letter at about 4 o'clock today, which was great just to get it in time for the meeting. The only comment that they had, 2 comments that they had was we have a condition on the original site plan approval that when we get down close enough to grade to dig the test pits, we're going to dig the test pits. To confirm the depth of groundwater for the 2 infiltration basins. And then their second comment was on our storm tech detail sheet. One of them still labeled as infiltration basin 5, even though now we only have 1 and 2. So it's fix the typo and do the test pits.
What was their request for the presence during the digging of the test holes?
Yeah, that's a condition of site plan approval that would remain in effect, assuming the board acts favorably on this request.
Yeah.
So the change would be the reference to the plans, the date of the plans in the site plan approval document. The rest of the document would remain the same.
And Adam, you concur with the 2
Yeah,
notes from Graves?
And having an independent engineer witness the test pits.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't fully read through this, it's just got 4, but there are only very minor comments. And
Do we want to consider those tonight, or do we want to have opportunity to review those?
We want to take the time to look at it.
Yeah, it's 2 very minor. Can we see that? Do you have?
Because it's usually supposed to be here the Thursday before the meeting.
Oh, their letter? Oh,
Yeah.
Everything. You all right, Nick? Take a look.
Structural review of the proposed deck.
no, wrong letter.
that's wrong, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't-
Change packets.
No decks.
There you go.
I was gonna say, no.
Definitely not done.
Hydrology, water, culvert flow, pipe size calculations. Statement. Okay, 521, that was it.
Yeah, so the one comment of consequences.
Excuse me for a minute.
Oh, sorry.
And we did make that a condition, that the test pits would be,
Test pits are the same. They have to be with the same part.
John, those guys, they're with us a minute.
Sure.
I'll hold it against you. I'll hold it against you.
My question with this is, says, during initial permitting, the design engineer stated that building is occupied and testing will be done as soon as possible, as soon as the site is vacated.
But that was a condition of the original approval, was that
Right.
the test pits would be
Done right away.
done right away and
They want to get
witnessed.
down to grade to the test
Right,
pit. I don't have a problem with that.
okay,
Dealing with the minors, I thought.
right, yeah,
So we're reviewing because it's minor in nature.
very minor.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's noted because I don't want to get into this.
Yeah,
letdown
no.
game.
No, and we don't want to do that.
Go ahead. Yeah, plenty.
Just kind of simple, just I have the other only that enough. Call them, give them a prescription for
Right, that's right.
But if the kid,
Any questions on that?
Not with that letter.
Okay. Other questions, John?
If he's done with his presentation, I got plenty.
You all set? Okay.
Okay, my first question is, we show the saw cut on page 2. That's within the state right away?
Yep,
You got a permit from the state?
I do. Two, actually. One for the curb cut and one for the sewer force main.
Okay. And then,
That to that.
page, page 4, under, general notes 5, contract shall strip topsoil stockpile on site for reuse. Soil stockpile shall be no higher than 8 feet. Stockpile shall be enclosed by temporary silt fences to prevent travel of sediment to adjacent drainage ways. What about the hay bales or the wattles?
We have wattles.
That's not what it says. It just says silt fence. Your instructions to the contractor, which is you,
Yep.
is to put silt fence down. It doesn't say anything about wattles.
Okay.
And then,
Add that.
drainage generated as a result of country water shall be discharged to existing drainage courses with proper erosion control measures. Discharge onto pavement or private property shall not be allowed. So there's no provision in there on how any silt that gets through the system is handled during the dewatering.
There's a whole stormwater pollution prevention plan also put together for the site. It goes through all of that because we're disturbing more than an acre.
Yep.
So we have this WIP put together, we've been doing the inspections, we filed for coverage under the EPA general permit.
Okay.
And we haven't done any dewatering to date.
Okay. On note 9 on the same page, when tapping existing precast manholes or sewer pipe, drill holes at 4 inches on center with a star drill around the periphery of the opening to create a plane of weakness before breaking the section out. Is that for a sewer manhole? You can't do that in a sewer man, you gotta core and seal it. You know that. Core and seal. No breaking in, because mortar and stuff does not stick to PVC pipe. Just doesn't happen, it's gonna leak. And then that fresh water gets into the system, and then the upper Blackstone's treating clean water.
Okay.
So that's gotta be done. And the driveway that comes up, the new driveway, what's the slope on that?
10%, same as before. For the upper section.
To save space, don't know if it's possible, but a lot of times they'll mount the transformer on the pole instead of on the ground with a pad.
Not for
It's
this
too big.
service, yeah.
Too big.
The biggest you can do on a pole is 400, yeah. And honestly, anything shown on the electric service is schematic until National Grid assigns an engineer, and they take 20 to 30 weeks to get back to you before they give you a sketch.
Oh, believe me, I know.
So that's our best guess of what it's gonna look like, but
It's expedited.
yeah. They even give you a little pre-colored sheet now with the steps that outline 44 weeks with a big red circle that says if you mess up here, you go back to the beginning.
Nice.
The only time they're good is when it's to their advantage.
Of course. On utility plan 5, the other question I had is, you're proposing to encase the electrical service with concrete?
Yep, primary side you have to encase with concrete,
Right, is that with or without rebar?
no rebar.
Or rebar even on the state?
No, it's overhead. It's overhead from the pole to a new pole that would be set on our property.
Yep.
Then it would come metal risers, metal 90s, Schedule 80, concrete encased, sweep up into the transformer, and then sand and backfill from the transformer. That's all National Grid spec.
You dye the concrete red?
Dyeing the concrete red?
Absolutely.
Never,
As Department of Public Utilities now,
never.
they dye it red. That's a requirement, I'm telling you. I'm doing it now.
37 years, I've never seen it dyed red.
No, not on pads, on the concrete encasement for the electrical duct bank. That and the warning tape above it.
Yeah, warning tape above, definitely. I've never heard of it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
could be wrong, but I've
Believe me, they're
never.
making everybody do it. They're doing it in Springfield right now. On the force main that comes out, goes down the road and around the corner,
Yep,
where it goes down West Tech Drive,
yep.
is that mostly off the road and you just go into the pavement when you tie into the manhole?
No, it's just off the face of the catch basins.
So it's in front of the catch basins?
Yep,
The right-of-way isn't large enough to put it behind the catch basin, so it's off the road?
yeah, there's a telecommunication conduit there, and it drops down to the wetland.
When you tie into the new manhole, that has to be a core and seal boot as well. It says core, it just doesn't say anything about a boot on your note.
On which one, John?
Sheet 6.
What number?
No, it's not a number, it's on the plan itself.
No, it says core new invert, where we tie into
Core
the
new
existing.
opening.
New core new opening, yeah.
Manhole, it just has to say core and seal boot.
So you'll add that to the plan? Okay.
The other thing, just a quick question on that. So we get the plans, they print them out, I get one page right side up, the next page is upside down. So I'm doing this all the time. The state highway baseline on sheet 3, it's got an arrow, but it's printing nowhere, there's no line on the page. I don't know if that was just the center of the highway or what. At least not on my copy.
On sheet 3,
Yes. Right below proposed guide rail, state highway baseline.
it'd be nice if my set had sheet 3.
Are you sure you don't mind?
Well, oh, here it is. State highway baseline, it's
Yeah.
it's pointing to the middle line with the stationing. I think maybe the leader didn't show up on your copy.
No stationing, no middle line, no nothing.
Yeah, it's you
Right
could,
here, like, you just showed it's point in the middle of nowhere, that's my.
well, I think it's just your copy. See how it's light on mine? There's the station, here's the baseline and the stationing
Okay.
on the full size. I think it's just your half-size copy.
The trees along the front along Route 20, I'm sure they're gonna be there for a long, long time. The dealership.
Yeah.
what I've seen in the past, eventually, is those block the sight line.
Not in this case where you gotta, can you do street view on this, Adam?
Yeah.
What is this one, John?
This is on the landscape plan.
Yeah, so those trees are up here.
Okay. You can't really tell where the center of the tree is the way it's drawn on the landscape plan,
Yeah.
as far as concerned.
So there's a Mass Highway bound right here.
Yep, they're behind it.
They're behind the Mass Highway bound. Thank you.
I'd like to take another look at
Now we'll get to the details.
I thought we went through these ones already.
I know, you're a bad boy.
Oh, yeah.
Feel a bear on every cover.
Yeah, by E.J. Prescott.
Mine says casting shall be covered to be LeBaron Type A mass standard product number 65306, sent by E.J. Prescott, full bed of mortar. That's telling me that E.J. Prescott sent me frame and cover.
Which detail are you looking at?
Sheet 10, center of the page, top, one right below it.
LeBaron.
They're in heavy.
Yeah.
E.J. Prescott.
I'm gonna beat Justin.
It's the next one down too.
Yeah, he didn't write it the same. He didn't, the set, see, on the one below, he put by E.J. Prescott set in a full bed of mortar. He put the sets in the wrong place on the one up top.
But I don't care about the set, who sets it. I care about the reference in a company that no longer exists.
But they still call them out by that product number.
They don't exist. East Jordan Ironworks doesn't exist anymore. They've been bought out. It's time to upgrade on your reference numbers, because you can't reference that. There's no more catalogs for LeBaron. You fixed it on the previous plan. You referenced Auburn Standard,
Yeah,
which is fine with me.
yeah.
But here it says,
I don't know what, because there was no change on the sheet from the previous plan.
yeah, the frame and cover has been changed back to what it was originally. Oh yeah, it was.
You know what I bet, so we had my long story, but somebody clicked on an email they shouldn't have clicked on and wiped out our network. And we rebuilt it, and I bet you this slipped through the cracks.
So you're
Like
gonna
2
straighten
minutes.
out?
On your road paving,
Yeah?
you got, 2 1.5 inches.
Yep.
Under the bituminous concrete pavement, industry standard is 12 inches, not 8 inches of ground.
Yep. Yeah. You know what happened is the detail used to say 8 and 4 of dense graded base.
And then 4 of,
Yeah, it used to be 8 of, like 3-inch minus and then 4 inches of, like of something finer for fine grading, but they just, when they erased the line, they didn't fix it out.
and then detail right below that, the vertical granite curb. I don't know what the reveal is. It should be 6 inches, but
Yeah,
it's
that's,
showing
well,
the reveal.
I mean, that's driven by spot grades on the plan because depending on the application, the reveal varies. But
It
if,
should reveal vary. It should parallel the road, the pavement.
well,
If
what
it's doing this,
or when you get
the
to,
curb follows it, 6-inch reveal.
yeah, when you get to a handicap ramp, you transition
That's
down.
different, that's transition down.
So if
But
you
that's
look,
not what this detail is, that's your standard
well, that's,
detail. You have another detail for your curve that shows the
Right.
proper ADA
and
slope.
I have all the, I have a blow up of all the spot grades for it that show the reveals at 6 inches, so.
On the precast retaining wall,
Yeah,
I see everything being correct there, except for a couple questions.
that's a, that's a,
Precast, it's a precast
that's
section wall.
that's a typical section wall.
Yeah.
The walls are
get
designed
that.
and
I don't
stamped
problem
and
with that.
submitted.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
My problem is, or my question is, how are you attaching the 6-foot cedar scallop privacy fence in the wall?
So one of the blocks that we use, it's a product called Stone Strong. So if you look down it from the top, it looks like an H with an O in the middle. So it has a U shape, a hole in the middle, and then an opposite U shape. And then when you butt the next block together, those U's become another O. And so you have a void of stone in each one, and so you can put the fence posts in that.
Steel fence posts or wood fence posts?
Either.
Because wood won't last.
If it's
I'll give you a little
pressure
lesson.
treated.
I'll give you a little lesson. Mortar and wood, no good. Concrete and steel, no deal. Doesn't work. And then the sub-drain in the back,
Yeah.
where does that daylight, and is this wall made so it's pervious, you don't need weep holes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got the spaces between them,
Yep.
gravity goes through.
Yep.
I just wonder where the sub-drain behind the daylight, does that go into a catch basin?
Yeah. Typically, you tie them into the nearest drainage structure.
I assume you're using either HDPE or
Yep.
Um,
HDPE.
for the drainage?
Yep.
Okay, so, doesn't really matter with drainage. And then you call, and then when you get to the, oil water separator and the STC 450 water quality unit,
Yep.
there you don't identify the frame and cover. You just say frame and cover. Doesn't say H20 loading.
Yeah. Most of them come with their own, like Storm Scepter comes with its own Storm Scepter labeled frame and cover.
Are those H20 loading?
Yep.
Okay. And then down under the 4-foot diameter precast concrete sewer manhole, you have level, stable, compacted gravel. I'm hoping you mean like 3/4 stone. Gravel just doesn't work on a manhole. Everybody puts stone, 6 inches. And you got 8, which is fine. But it
Okay.
should be stone, 3/4 inch stone. And then my next question is, on your little duplex pump station,
Yep.
I assume they're lead lag, so they alternate.
Yeah. That's what the pump 1 on, pump 2 on.
Yep.
Has the 2 separate, and then they both kick on.
Right.
We also have
They both kick on when you're at the super high level.
yeah, and we have 24 hours of storage volume in between that and the pipe in,
Okay.
so that if both pumps fail and power's out, we have
Perfect.
24 hours to figure out what to do
Excellent.
before it's a real problem.
My other question is, where you have your slide rails in for when you pump up,
Yeah.
but you show the detail of the cable underneath the lip of the flat top. I don't know how you reach in and grab that. I don't know how close that is. There isn't really a dimension between that and the top and maintain.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can actually run that up and tie it onto
Tied onto the frame itself.
the frame or on the bracket that comes out that holds the slide rail.
Mhm.
Because you're gonna hook it anyway when you pull it up.
Yep.
And then the only other question I had was hatch draining into the pump station? The hatch.
It has, so it's gasketed and it does have a little trough around it.
So it's gonna drain into the catch, into the-
Minimally, it's pitched away from it, but yeah, minimal infiltration.
That's all I have.
Is it? Are you sure?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure.
You got all that, right down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Rach, you got all that?
Yes, gracious.
Very dangerous.
It is what it is.
Any replay?
No, that's
Mr.
good,
Lynch,
John, that's,
Mike,
you know.
are you ready?
Hold your feet, hold your feet to the fire.
I'm good.
All right.
I gave John all my questions before.
Oh,
we
thank you.
No, where's my cheat sheet?
Did you have any questions? No? Okay. Nick?
No.
All set. John, you're good.
No.
I'm all set. Any from the audience? Any questions? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Close.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No question.
Sure.
Does that have to go back to peer review?
No, I think what the few items that were, that Graves addressed, I don't think it has to go back again for,
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah,
We
Graves
have
has
to-
already
that's
done
right,
that.
okay,
Yep, yep, no worries.
I'm all set.
You got caught up in the moment, John, we
My
get
my vote is aye.
Okay. Okay, motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks for an excellent presentation
Thank you.
and being able to answer all of John's questions.
Yeah. Nice, good.
That's okay. We love my girl.
Somebody cut off.
Okay. SZLL Realty LLC definitive subdivision plan for 13-lot single-family home development on property located at 178 Hampton Street and 19 Eden Ave, map 12, parcel 120. And this is the second review.
new plans.
So basically, we're here for an update tonight then.
Yes.
It's just
Please introduce yourself.
Yes, Donald O'Neill, I'm a lawyer from Worcester. I'm here this evening on behalf of SCLL Realty. Also with me are Joe Graham, who's done the engineering on the project, and Bob O'Neill, who's done the survey work. So we, I think, had some revisions just to go over with the board, but I think we're still awaiting comments from Graves as to the revisions. We also had a few questions from the sewer department that we can address tonight, I think, in terms of just a few things that they had questions on. And probably, unless you would just have them run through the plan, I think. and-
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just run through, so the lot configuration has not changed. One of Graves' comments was just adjusting one of the irregularity factors. So there's a minor change on this sheet. In general, many of the changes had to do with some of the stormwater requirements, which we've updated as part of the resubmission, and we've done a test pit and parking lot recently, and that helped update some of the stormwater figures for Graves' review, as well as the basin geometry kind of changed, so I understand they'll probably have to have more time to review. And some of the comments that Don had spoke of, the sewer department had questioned if this should be considered a private road, and we're proposing a public road after the completion of the project. And to provide a 6-inch stub for at the end of the sewer line for the use of the abutting property, or to extend. Obviously, we can make those adjustments, plan revisions. And they had questions on some of the sewer manholes. We're having the sewer line from this side of the project connect into an existing manhole that's already on Eden Street.
The next one.
Yeah, sorry, the next one. I couldn't-
This is-
Yeah, it's the lot configuration. So they had questioned on some inside drop elevations, which we can update and provide as part of a pipe profile to help illustrate the elevations and follow up. And I believe that was the bulk of the sewer department's comments. Since our
How long is this road?
submittal, we also had reached out to the water department, and we'll be proposing to connect to the existing water line along Hampton Street and run a new line down Eaton and into the subdivision.
Currently,
that
how
was-
long is that the cul-de-sac?
I believe to the rear of the bulb is,
500 feet
yeah,
to the center.
Oh,
550 and change.
This
To the
it's
rear
written
of
over
the,
so you can't see it. So 564, and what was the length that we,
800.
800 feet?
800.
So the driveways are still gonna be coming off of Hampton Street down into those properties that are on the front?
these, yes, so there's three house lots that we're proposing to be frontage lots. We wanted to include them as part of this development.
Isn't there a
Where-
significant drop in elevation on those lots? And what are those driveways gonna look like?
Our goal is to bring up the grades in those areas to not have that situation.
Well, you have up
Yeah.
to 800 feet for the roadway and the cul-de-sac. Why wouldn't you bring them all in off of Eaton Ave instead of,
So our,
is there something that's,
We're limited to 10 lots.
What's that got to do with it?
10
Yeah,
lots?
just saying 10 lots, but just make this longer and
Just
have.
saying, make that.
Where are you gonna consider your frontage coming off of for this? Up on Hampton Street? Is that where you're considering your frontage for the lots? It's gotta be wherever the street address is gonna be in the houses.
correct.
Now, you can't have them coming in off Hampton and have the, and then consider the back part. Because I see right in the beginning where you come off of Hampton, unless I'm missing something, there's one with 85 feet here.
Correct, we will not be proposing that as part of the frontage. That first parcel will be accessed via the new subdivision. The
That'll
only,
come off of the,
correct,
well, it's only got 90 feet there. You have to have 100 feet minimum on all lots.
You have the contiguous frontage with the radius.
You're not counting that
Correct, yeah,
radius.
count the radius.
So you can come
No,
Half of the radius.
half of the
I
radius?
think you can only consider half of the radius.
I think it's all the radius.
it's all, we can verify that.
All the radius. So you
Provide
could,
that as part of the update.
What's your radius?
I'm not sure.
There should be a line that tells you. Radius is stated
30
feet, so that's the distance from your point here to here. So the radius is 30 feet. I don't know how much of a circle this
Would be a 90.
I wanna see, what's the lot line? There's so many lines here. Where is the lot?
10 lots have to do with it.
I have no idea.
I'm unclear about your statement about the 10 lots.
Understanding was that with a dead-end cul-de-sac, you're only allowed to have 10 lots.
That are accessed by that cul-de-sac.
Correct. And I think
And road.
the confusion you're having is, I'm sorry, I'm Robert O'Neill. Eaton Ave, where it's currently constructed, actually goes over this property. So what we were proposing to do is, there's a triangular piece of land
Yeah, I see.
that's actually their property that's going to be conveyed back to the town for that reason.
Because that's currently part of Eaton Ave?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It got paved over this land, and it's in that configuration. We weren't trying to change it. Our intention was to just carve that portion out and convey it to the town as part of this development.
We can provide a chart for every lot. We have that.
That's your station.
Yeah, that would be helpful, I think, for everybody to see.
Where's the frontage?
It is no sure. Usually front
You
here.
sure it's something 90.31?
Well, I wrote it.
I'd like to see on each one of these lots where your frontage is with respect to what street you're facing them on.
Okay.
And I don't see that. John's saying that these aren't the numbers.
No, that's your baseline for your station.
What's page 5
So these three lots, they're saying, they're only put these 10 lots on dead end cul-de-sac. No?
So where are these coming off?
So you went 2, 3, 4, 5.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Sheet 5 does shows the driveways.
And you got these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
One more.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you have 5 on, and then 3 additional.
I wanna see, I wanna
Those 3
see
that are
every
coming off of
frontage
Hampton
is
Street.
and where they're coming off.
Yeah.
And show what the
And what does that
all
elevation look, I mean, that's gonna,
But is this considered a lot,
It's like a slide.
even though it's just for your drainage?
So if you go to page 6, it has the grading plan.
I mean, you consider that a lot?
Yeah, I believe
It's not a buildable lot.
Billable if they're using that for drainage. and then-
Correct.
Or it'd have to state on it, no further building.
It may,
Not a buildable lot.
it may in the grading plan.
Correct. Our, there's a parcel in the back by the wetlands that would be, that's where the stormwater detention basin would be going. So part of that would be conveyed for access and for maintenance purposes, to be conveyed at the completion of the project.
We need to see for each lot where the frontage, what the frontage is, and where its entry onto the, which street it's entering onto.
Okay.
I'd like to go back to the sewer line. You mentioned something about a 6-inch stub.
Yeah, it was requested to provide a 6-inch stub at the end of our sewer line in order to
Service this property here that's
If
under
needed.
development. The lateral, so that
Yeah.
in the event that they would like to tie in.
They wouldn't have to tie in
Oh, the abutting? the
Yeah,
abutter?
just for future use.
It's a call by the sewer department just this morning.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm sorry, what was that?
But it's gotta go to the property line.
What did
You
you
can't stop
just
short.
say?
Correct.
Otherwise,
Sewer
it's
call had
Right,
comments
it's-
this morning.
Oh,
I wouldn't have thought it either.
okay. So is there a sheet here that shows the frontage for each one of these lots and where they're coming off of?
Yeah, we can provide that as a chart, might make it easier to convey, because I do agree sometimes it gets lost.
Well, it should be on the plan now too.
Yes,
It's
just showed on the, as part of the configuration for each lot. However, like I said, maybe it could get lost in some of the notes, so I can,
Because some of your printing is printing over other printing.
yeah, that's,
It makes
Very
it,
difficult to read.
yeah.
That should be separated.
it gets
Okay.
confusing. And is this whole area gonna be completely clear cut?
It already is.
It'll be clear cut.
Oh, yeah, they
Yeah.
cut that last year. The grass is
How are you
all
guys
over.
doing with stormwater runoff over there? Any issues right now? With no trees and,
You know, I'm very surprised, but we haven't had any problems.
we've had a couple of
Put in a
doozies
silt
for
fence
storms.
until just a few weeks ago.
The weeds are pretty high right now.
They're huge, they're taller than
As a
that.
matter of fact, it's
this-
very dangerous to pull out of Egan Ave
Sucking up the
onto
water.
Hampton Street. You can't see a thing right now.
You couldn't be fooling the trees either.
Okay, if you want to continue, we'll ask as we go.
and one other change that I'd like to note as part of Grade's review, we're changing the detail for the roadway width. They requested granite curbing, just in areas where the radius is smaller than 100 feet, and we're gonna propose granite curbing throughout, because through the cul-de-sac and the entry and exits, those are a lot of radius points, so for a kind of a uniform design, we'll propose the granite curbing. So that was one thing that I wanted to bring up. In general, many of the other utility comments will be providing a proposed utility pole
Yeah.
towards our lot, our subdivision, and then obviously this will be all fed underground. So there'll be a proposed utility pole.
Right. Yep. No, these are all coming off of here.
Right.
Okay, that's cul-de-sac, that's cul-de-sac. Non-buildable lot.
They're gonna have houses in their backyards.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's right. You see houses in the backyard, that's what it is.
Yeah. Is there anything
What's
else?
this here?
I think, we realize Graves has some stuff to review and,
So we're
he's not
using
getting
the-
that to them till recently.
The last three lots on the right-hand side of the page, no, down the bottom, where they come off of
Hampton Street.
Hampton Street.
Correct.
What is the proposed slope of those driveways? Because if they match Eaton Ave, someone's gonna get killed.
We can provide
I
it,
never see out of them.
No more.
yeah.
The grading, the intent was to keep the driveways high and step the foundations and more of a walkout towards the back.
So you walk out from the basement on the cul-de-sac side.
Yeah, this would be their backyard. The only thing is, these would be sewered by means of the new subdivision.
No, that's fine, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter which way the sewer comes from, but I just wanted to make sure that those driveways aren't like this, so when you come out, you get the nose of a car, you're gonna get clipped.
No, the intention is,
Because for as long as I've been going up Eaton Ave, you almost get clipped coming out of that street anyway, whether before or after they cut the trees. You can't see right, you can't see left. You gotta inch out.
Was this to remain a private road? I didn't hear the answer on that.
No.
We're proposing it to be public,
By the town.
to meet all the regulations.
Looks out to provide the bond and all that stuff.
I thought that was that.
Okay. John?
Nothing, 'cause I really had a chance to look at any of the plans, so.
Right.
I'd be more worried about, as you mentioned, so we don't have another,
Briar Cliff.
correct, with the grading, so the people below them don't get hammered with water.
Well, even these people that are gonna be in the new houses.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Them and the existing structures down the hill.
Yep, so to that, so yes, obviously this site is steep, so the grade is coming down here, we're proposing a swale along this side of the road that will enter into a catch basin at this end, and then that will go to the storm basin, in hopes to reduce the runoff across the roadway, obviously. And then along this back edge, we propose a stones lined swale that will run to the same basin to mitigate any runoff coming down that slope, because it is a long slope. Our goal is to try to capture that so we don't have any issues of stuff migrating off-site.
You can't increase flow onto a neighbor's lot
Correct.
during peak rainstorm.
Correct. That's why we're proposing those swales.
Well, you're not supposed to.
Well, that's a whole different story.
This lot right here,
Yes.
and it's got that leg that stops short of Eaton Ave,
Correct.
okay? And then you got 60-foot wide here, and then you got sewer easement. Where is the sewer easement? It doesn't quite point to that.
The
What is
sewer
that?
line easement will encompass that whole area that comes out, that 60-foot wide area. That wouldn't be a future, that would just be the sewer easement.
It's not an entrance into that lot.
No, because it wouldn't meet the frontage.
So this whole thing is.
The whole
a
thing
sewer
is, but
easement.
it shows it with that leg stopping.
Yeah, we can provide like a shaded plan to show the easement and the lots.
Is there an existing sewer manhole at Eaton Street to tie into, or do you have to extend the line up the street?
No, there's an existing sewer manhole approximately here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're running the water line down Hampton and down Eaton and in.
correct.
You're gonna have paved driveways and all that's gonna be bringing that right down.
That's why in the back of the lot, there's a stone swale that you can't see on this plan.
Okay.
It's on the contour plan. Yeah, that one,
On this one, I think, right?
no, that's existing.
Sheet 5,
Sheet
more
five.
detail.
Yeah, you can see something.
What's this labeled as? It's the stone swale.
Correct.
So, yeah. And he said there was gonna be a swale here too, but we were,
Correct. There should be a dashed line at the.
this dashed line.
Yep, so we were, I believe it was prior, the last meeting that we were here, we discussed there would be a sidewalk on only one side. So the sidewalk is on as you're going down the street on the left side, and the stone swale is on the right side, obviously, to catch before it goes up the road.
So when you're going into the street, the sidewalk's on the left, the stone swale's on the right.
Sidewalks on the lower
I
side.
don't think that's,
Yes.
Yeah.
this line is this way.
Because
Is this fine line here the swale? It's not these lines that are all close to the edge of the road, is it?
No, this dashed line, yeah, that is the bottom
This
of the
one?
swale. Yeah, so this,
The swale's in between those two dash lines.
and that's coming down here. Is that the idea?
no, there's a catch basin at the end
Oh.
that will sort of, on the drainage plans, it shows it comes to a manhole here that flows into this area.
Oh, it's gonna come around here and then down.
And that drainage area exits on Vesper Street.
Correct, so in order to service the stormwater basin, there'll be an access gate and access road on Vesper Street. Yeah.
We have to wait for Grace to comment.
Yeah,
anyway, but-
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, we-
Yeah, yeah.
Since
Okay.
whatever else on the list.
Other updates is, let's see, other updates from the last meeting.
One of the gentlemen had asked for a guardrail on the downhill side of the entry. That's his problem. Okay, I'm sorry, it was you, sir. Yeah. So we're gonna incorporate the guardrail here. Another gentleman up here asked for a roll of arborvitae at the top of the slope here. So we're gonna incorporate that as well.
Another question is, you can't get a variance to extend that cul-de-sac? I don't know.
Where did you see the regulation that said
In
you
the
can only
subdivision
put?
regs?
Yeah, I actually discussed it a little bit with Bill Coyle as well.
And we can find that, I can send it back to, so it's easier to, yeah, so you don't have to.
Yeah, we'll look at it too.
Make it easier,
Just makes it easier.
much easier.
I mean,
All the way around.
Right, I mean, the house can move away from Hampton Street, maybe coming down the New Street, Road A, out on the Eaton Street, instead of trying to get out on the Hampton Street, which is a nightmare anyway.
Super dangerous.
Especially in that area.
Well, that's a
Like,
tough area, it's
yeah.
right on a bad corner.
Horrible, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, like you say, we'll have to wait to see the peer review and
Right.
what they have to say.
I don't know who would grant that waiver, will it be ZBA or Bill or whatever?
Nice to have Bill's comment on it. It is something that we just haven't thought about.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Like
That's
the-
questions.
Open it up to the public. Anybody have any questions
I have
or?
a couple.
Sure, and your name, sir?
Is that Elm Hill
Your-
Water?
Your name, sir?
Oh, Mark Stadolsky, 15 Eaton Ave. Is that Elm Hill Water? That's they approved it?
Yes, I actually met with the gentleman down in the common.
And it's coming off over here?
Yep. They had asked, we tie in here and bring it this way.
They asked that? On the sewer easement down on Eaton Ave, that's next to our property. Who's gonna maintain that? We've been maintaining it for, well, she's lived there for 30, 25 years. And 30 years before that, the people that lived there maintained it, because I grew up right up the street. My grandparents actually lived on Vespa. So I know that area very well. So what's gonna happen to these trees right here? And that drops off quite a bit. I know there's an easement there. I know that she doesn't own it, but who's gonna maintain that after? All the way back. I mean, there's trees that's gotta come out.
I would say it would be the sewer department of the town.
Once they accept
Once
it.
they
They
accept the
said, well,
roadway. Yeah.
or it could stay with the piece and they only have an easement on it.
I know.
She doesn't own the it's not part of the property right now. It's their property. I understand that, but it's been maintained like that for as long as I can remember, 50 years plus, by the owner of that property.
Yeah, and the trees that he marked out along that line are holding that bank up.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add that my driveway is just
Yeah,
beyond.
because back here, on the back side of the property, there's still trees. it's a little hard to see here.
And those are gonna remain?
I don't know how they're gonna remain when they're gonna put a soil line in there. Is there gonna be a soil
Well,
line
they got
coming out
60
there?
feet wide.
How big, how wide?
The parcel's 60 feet wide. We can look
John
at,
Hinckley.
There's some grading back there, and I don't see anything with grading on any of your things.
yeah, not as detailed, right?
On that, if you're gonna be going into that property, I think we need to look at gradings and stuff on that property. Even though they own it, but there's nothing shown.
Well, that'll be another,
we could do like-
on the
That's why it's
Graves.
gotta go for
Yeah,
Graves.
that's why, on the peer review, Graves will take a look at that as well. And we'll have more
I'm just
information
concerned with
after.
runoff.
We'll have more information after we get the
And-
review.
My last question is, Eaton Ave was improved after 50-plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting patchwork? Are we getting improvement?
As far as I know, there's a moratorium on opening up newly paved streets, correct?
For 5 years.
For 5 years. So
I believe it's over 5 years, so it's just gonna be a patch.
it'll be a patch, then, if it's over 5 years. Yeah.
So with the water problem on that road, Eaton Ave will turn into a gravel road again.
Which is
Which actually
why-
might help the traffic for people that don't live on the road. That
Right.
use this country, because I can't wait to put a speed bump on
Yeah,
that.
which is why I brought the stormwater, issue up.
I'm just.
We don't want to
some
see another
concern.
Briar Cliff.
It will be Briar Cliff Plus.
Yeah, well, that's what we're hoping, that through all the reviews and we can mitigate.
Did you talk to, who did you talk to from Elm Hill? Do you know?
I'm sorry, it was an older gentleman.
Mr. Gurries? Oh, Ed Gurries, maybe?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Mr. Gurries is there. I didn't see you, Mr. Gurries.
Interesting party.
Okay.
Can they come up in Hampton Street with the water?
Mr. Stadowski, just a moment. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, typically when you tie into something like that, you can do a full grinding overlay so that you don't have just a trench patch through there, you just overlay the whole thing. That's typically,
Well, we could also condition that,
I'm
correct?
sure you,
You mean grind and overlay the whole street?
yeah,
Just a section down to where they
yes.
tie in.
And now,
It actually go, yeah.
Excuse me.
and now, I'm sure that's gonna be a requirement of the Resource Department, your Water Department. Most places that we make proposals, that's a requirement.
All right, we'll make sure that Bill addresses that
Yep.
as well. Okay. Anybody else have it?
Yeah,
John?
just, the tree line here is actually, well, it's a barrier to water rushing down to Nancy's on one hand, and on the other, it's holding up my driveway. So I'm concerned that if you take all those trees out, I'm gonna lose the driveway.
Okay.
The other thing is that where we talked about a guardrail and it's needed on the left of the street, and that it be on the same side that the sidewalk is on.
Correct.
I'm wondering if some kind of a landscape barrier couldn't be put for 150 feet along there, so that people aren't looking in my second floor windows.
We're amenable to that. As you know, the configuration is quite a bit of area before it gets to your property line, so there's plenty of room to do landscape.
Yes, good.
Anyone else? Nancy?
Yep, Nancy Bates, 15 Eaton Ave. I've been there 27 years, and every time, when there's been 3 new houses on the right-hand side, right? Getting in, toward the
Going
top.
up, yep.
Every time, we work so hard for the drainage and whatnot, and every time there's new property put in there, it's awful. And I don't know if you remember when the 3 new houses went up, and then we had to go back and put all those drains in because the whole yard was ice. So a lot of the jargon as far as the building and all that goes, that's way beyond my expertise. I don't really know. You're gonna get approved for whatever you're gonna get approved for. But my concern is basically what Mark and John are saying is about the runoff and the water. So I have a very dry basement, and I have a non-cracked foundation.
You'd like it to stay
Dry,
that
and I'd
way?
like it to stay that way, and that's my concern. So the teacher in me, I had to re-propose, because we're going to try no, you've got to propose and you've got to promise that we're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't feeling confident in the presentation that what you're going to do is really gonna keep that water or drainage and all of that stuff the way that you think it's going to go. Like, I'd like to be a little bit more confident that you know that the water is not gonna go down there. 'Cause we
And
all
once
know-
again, the peer review, we're
Will help
hoping
with
that that's
that.
gonna help,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
nail down some of these things that we're concerned about.
Right, so,
I could speak to it a little bit?
Sure.
Mind Joe. One of the requirements are, we have to do hydraulic calculations. So we do a pre and a post study. We're not allowed to create any more runoff than what's currently there now. And if anything, we're capturing as much of the water as we possibly could, put it into the system, and that's the whole idea behind the detention pond before. You're probably, you're getting some runoff now, just some runoff over a vegetated slope. Obviously, when they open it up, it increases the amount of runoff, but the intent that we're held, or the standard, excuse me, that we're held to, and this is something Graves will review, we have to capture that water and put it in a closed system and bring it down and bring it into this basin. If we don't meet that criteria, then it's a basis for denial.
So, are you planning on coming in and doing all the grades and the retention pond and laying all the pipe and not building one house at a time?
There'll be a sequence of work, but that's the right way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have just one more thing. So would someone come up to the house and take a picture of my basement and my driveway and stuff in case something did happen? Because
Oh, I
I'd like
think
to
it's a
know
pretty-
who to contact if that did happen, and I'd like it in writing that the property would be taken care of if something were to happen to
It'd be
it.
a good idea to document all of that.
Right, but if
you know,
I did it myself,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
I can
You
do it
can do
myself?
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I
Exactly.
just didn't know if someone needed to be present as a witness, like, oh,
You
yeah,
can bring
yeah,
your
yeah.
insurance agent out for that.
Yeah,
Bring the insurance agent? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm definitely
As your
gonna do
witness.
that because I'm a little nervous.
yeah.
I think you guys are very smart, you look very, like,
There's gonna
very
be a
diligent
bond.
people, but I'm still a little nervous. 'cause-
There will be a bond on this project as well, and so they've got to perform to a certain, performance bond. They have to perform to a certain
Okay,
standard, and that kind of, that's a
Alright.
way for us to.
and that helps.
This gentleman here, your name, sir?
My name's Tom Kaz, 18 Eden Ave. I have a concern about the access road that leads down to Vesper. I'm friends with one of the families that lives at the top of that road. Anecdotally, they've told me since that's been cleared, they have actually seen more water on the property. And I'm a little concerned that with that access road, you're creating a creek bed that's already going on to a fairly poorly maintained road as is. If there's enough organic material to block any of the capturing system on that pond and it does overflow, it flows straight down to Vesper and probably out onto Southbridge Street. Is there any sort of mitigation in place for that?
Sure, so I can speak first to the pond, or detention basin, and then to the roadway. The goal in building one of these is there's an overflow spillway where the lowest point is actually where you want the water to keep going. So the goal would be to continue its natural path towards the wetland over here. So that should address any concerns, I guess, with the basin overflowing this direction. As far as the access road, that does have to kind of go up a little bit, right, because this is a steep site, in order to access the top of the pond. We can provide, on other projects I've done, a small culvert or kind of added some little swales for the drainage to make sure that on the roadway it stays on the site, and that would be part of the calculations that we have to illustrate to Grace to show that we're not increasing runoff to these other sites.
Just add that, it's a gravel road.
Yeah, it's a 10-foot wide gravel road, but yes, it could be a low point, a natural low point that we'll try to mitigate.
Mr. Brooks?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, Mr. Brooks?
So when it goes into the detention pond, and then it runs through culverts or open trench down to Vespa? Goes into
That's
here.
your access road, it goes in here, your overflows here down to the wetland.
Oh, down into the
So when this
wetland.
gets
So this is
overtaken by
just
125 year
access road
storm,
here, is what we're
it's gonna
seeing?
come out this way to the wetland.
Okay, so this is just a road. that's
Correct.
going to
Correct.
Vespa.
Yes.
So they can maintain that basin so that what
That's
you
why
are
it goes
suggesting
all the way
is
around.
This is
should not happen because it's gonna, water's gonna find its way to the lowest.
The intent for the basin is infiltration through the bottom of the basin, which is why we had to go out. We did a deep hole test, and we did a perk test to determine that it wasn't a hunk of ledge. And we provided that information to Graves that we had a 4-minute perk rate on that, and they got down just over 8 feet in depth, no groundwater encountered.
Where the detention pond is,
Correct.
and no ledge.
Too much.
No
No
ledge,
ledge.
That's
no ledge anywhere on the site?
No, there's definitely.
So is there gonna be blasting then?
We're not proposing any.
they're gonna try to address the ledge removal with hydrants.
So being concerned with your foundation and
Foundation.
everything, they have to have the insurance company come out and photograph everything.
Okay,
It's like a pre-blast survey,
okay.
and if they're gonna hammer, they have to put out monitors, seismic monitors. So if it goes over a certain amount of velocity per foot, the shock wave, they have to shut down.
Okay.
Decibels, yes.
Yep,
Excuse me, that's with the hammers too?
yep. Any kind of ledge demolition. The only time you wouldn't do it is if you were doing Bristol, which is just a chemical reaction that expands and breaks the concrete.
Any other questions?
So, at the end of Vespa right now, there's a pretty good banking. The road is much lower than the property. So you're gonna cut into that. How's the water now gonna flow into Vespa? I'm gonna look out for the Vespa residents now. And is Vespa Street part of this property? Because that was a private road.
Again, Mr. Sadowski, that basin that they're proposing there is going to bring that water away from Vesper Street
right.
But they gotta cut into the banking.
for the
To
road,
make the road.
to make the roadway.
So you got a wall right now at the end of Vespa that's probably 6 feet high, if not 8. A wall.
And that's at the top of that wall is the grade of the land as it goes up
Right,
the
so
road.
are they gonna cut into that to make the road?
But you see that large, the black, dark black line that's coming across there, can you point that out? Yeah. And then into the detention pond and then down into the wetlands.
I thought they said it was coming off of Vespa.
No,
Access road is coming up of Vespa.
So at the access road,
At the end of Vespa is like a wall right now.
Right, yeah. Yep, no,
It's a dirt wall.
Yeah.
It's, whatever, it's not a wall, it's a dirt wall. That's probably 6 to 8 feet high.
So this access road has to just be able to, like a service vehicle, in order to get up there. It doesn't have to be,
All right, so you're gonna cut
So
a
we can-
road 10,
yeah, it
12.
doesn't have to be like a subdivision road.
I understand, but
Okay.
you're gonna cut into that banking, correct?
Yeah, and we can try to, we can,
I actually drove my pickup through there.
At the top of Vespa?
I actually met the gentleman right here on the corner, Steve. Yeah, I drove right in there. That's the way we brought the equipment in to do the perk test as well. The gravel road will stop short of coming down to that slope because we want to gate it. But there will be a little transition, but it's not meant for normal vehicular traffic.
No, I
a
understand.
car or something like that. It would be more of a service piece of
I was
equipment.
wondering how you were gonna cut into that wall.
Limited amount of grading as possible.
You're gonna bring it up like that and then level it up.
Was Vespa Street part of the property? Because I think they own that.
They have frontage around the terminus.
Well, the original owners owned Vespa Street. It's not a town road. It's last I knew.
Gagney?
He owned Vespa Street and owned all that property. That's why it was never kept to town standards. So was was Vespa Street part of the property deal with Gag?
At one time, it probably was.
Yeah.
You don't own it now.
You don't know.
But I think you do have frontage on it, so
Correct.
be like anybody else.
Yeah, I
has
understand
frontage
that.
on the
I just
street.
was
Yeah.
wondering about the street.
Okay. Anything else?
Just one thing. These houses here, I know that we're looking at maybe making them part of the subdivision or the access to the road. But I'm looking at it now and I'm wondering, with the plans that you have, would you have any land usable in the back, or would it just fall right, like, right here, these three homes?
After you get out of this envelope, it's just gonna continue to go down the way. And
So it won't be usable land?
For like these people's backyard?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that when we graded it, we used like I think it's 25-foot wide, shallow slope, and then it will start, yeah. So at
Okay.
least the people will have a
What's the
backyard.
shallow slope?
Just, I don't know, like 6-to-1 or something like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
One more question, is that those 3 lots, I know you guys are concerned, I believe right now there's a guardrail in front of those 3 lots.
Correct.
Correct.
So would the guardrail go away?
yes, to provide
So,
access.
so where? That's what I'm saying, then the guardrail,
Just to provide access at the driveway, and the rest of the guardrail will remain, or all of the
That's-
guardrail will be removed?
Yeah, probably
That's
taking
up to
all the
Bill.
guardrail.
I think the intent of, we're elevating the front of the building, so that,
You're gonna have it so the driveway almost comes in flush with the street, and they drop the lot down and they exit through their cellar doors
yes.
to a walkout.
so the guardrail would start after,
It would get truncated in front of the 3 here, but it would remain over in this
Okay.
area here.
Plus any guardrails they move or change, they have to get permission from the DPW department, you just can't go rip it out.
There's still, a big
Yeah.
process we have to go through here,
Oh, yeah,
so,
lots.
appreciate all your questions. We're trying to help, make sure that this gets done once and correctly. So is there anything else you wanted to add?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I try to take notes to incorporate as much as possible.
Great.
We can share that with whoever
Yeah.
has like upgrades.
And it's viewable on YouTube too, so if you have any questions, that the meeting will be on that as well. So we're going to continue the hearing. Did you say Graves has the information for review currently?
They
or-
picked it up this afternoon.
Okay, and is that around time?
He said it'll take about 2 weeks to
2
go
weeks?
forward.
So would
the
it be ready
next
for the next
meeting?
meeting in 2
Maybe,
weeks?
maybe not.
It might be close. I
Okay.
couldn't promise that, but they wouldn't have a chance to really
Okay.
respond to it.
So we could continue it to the next meeting, and then if that information wasn't back yet, we could just bump it. You wouldn't have to come, we
Continue
could just
again.
continue it again.
Yeah, that would,
To the
we
following
would
meeting.
like to try and
Later on the docket.
obviously.
Sure, get it done
Yeah.
as quickly as
Sure.
possible. Yep, okay. All right, so currently, we're gonna continue the meeting to the 24th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the
Yes.
24th. And if the review isn't back, we'll bump it back out into October, the first meeting in October. Okay?
Make a motion.
And then we go, thank you. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, good.
Good job.
All right, so where are we? All right, so 725 Strategic Behavioral Solutions, requesting site plan approval for private educational use under section 3.2.3.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaws at 390 Southbridge Street, Auburn, Mass, map 33, parcel 85. And also there's waiver requests, 390 Southbridge Street, strategic behavioral topography, lighting, site plan prepared by a professional engineer, landscaping and drainage. My understanding that you're going before Concom on tomorrow, the 11th?
There's a discussion item for conservation. There was,
The discussion item?
yeah.
We weren't aware of that.
I don't know who coordinates their meetings, but I passed along the comments I sent you last week from DPW to all the,
So
to yourself.
tomorrow, there's a meeting tomorrow evening,
Yes, conservation tomorrow night.
7 o'clock?
Yeah, I believe so.
So, on this one, we've got a letter from Joanna Paquin, and work done on the site without any approved plans. Work has been completed within the wetlands buffer zone. So conservation, there was no conservation approval for that.
Correct.
So, where do we go from here?
Like the last
Why
one.
don't you read that out, Admiral?
Okay, so Joanna Pikeman said Bill, and she and Bill had just come back from the site. There was work done on the site without any approved plans. The site plan that should have been submitted would have an existing condition survey plan and a separate plan showing the proposed improvements. Because of this, the Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Engineering, and others never had opportunity to comment on the proposed work. As a result, the work performed on the site may need to be modified. Work has been completed within the wetlands buffer zone. Not aware if there was conservation approval for this work. General, the pavement markings that were recently painted do not conform to town regulations. Most of the parking stalls are approximately 12 to 13 feet in length. 18.5 feet is required. 8.5 feet wide, 9 feet is required. The attached photos illustrate this as well as Bill's vehicle parked in one of the spots. In addition, the paved aisle widths that should be 24 feet measure as little as 14 to 17 feet. A fence was installed adjacent to the culvert. This would not be adequate to stop a vehicle. Conservation Commission approval should also have been obtained prior to this work. There was an increase in impervious area on the site through the work that was performed. There were several opportunities to decrease the impervious area had a plan been prepared for this project. A design plan should show that the parking lot is in compliance with ADA, AAB regulations, and in general, we do not recommend approving work that has been performed without prior approval from the relevant town departments, boards, commissions to circumvent town regulations. We have some issues here. So, and would you like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what we just...
Sure. Madam Chairman, for the record, my name's Todd Rodman. I'm a lawyer with the law firm of Cedar and Chandler in Worcester. Norman Hill from Land Planning filed the site plan application. Nico Agora is principal of the Mass Preparatory Academy. So this is an existing building. There was an additional use that was proposed that requires site plan approval from the town. The additional use inside the existing building was for, it's called the Massachusetts Preparatory Academy for Children. We discussed it briefly at the last meeting. It's for instruction for children on the autism spectrum. So it's an existing site, an existing parking lot. The fact that there was essentially topsoil scraped off of an existing parking area, there was no impervious cover added. The fact that this work was done without permits, I mean, there's no justification for that in terms of the scraping of the soil off the edge of the existing parking area. They also essentially sprayed a top coat on the parking area and striped some of the spaces. So that was done, shouldn't have been done before anything was approved by this board. There was no impervious cover. Again, it's a use inside an existing building in an existing parking area. Weren't aware that it had been referred to the Conservation Commission. We know that now. I guess my recommendation would be that we continue this to give us an opportunity to meet with the town engineer, the town planner, to allow Mr. Hill, who prepared the preliminary plan, to try and address some of the concerns that were listed by the town engineer, as opposed to taking your time. Some of these issues are technical. We think some of them are factually incorrect, but if we could
Sure, we'll have to take that up
work
with them.
offline, it might be a more efficient way of dealing with it.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. Yep, we all agree with that, I think.
Thank you.
So we'll go straight to motion to continue. Will you be
Madam
attending the
Chairman, Yeah, I mean,
Concom
yeah,
tomorrow?
somebody's gonna be there, absolutely.
Okay.
To at least have this discussion,
Yep.
same discussion, so that we can try and address the town's concerns.
And would that go to the board there with all of the DPW fire, everybody?
DCG.
DCG, no. I don't believe they came at all to DCG. That might have mitigated some of these issues if that occurred, but this was passed on to the Conservation Commission because of
The wetlands.
DPW because of the
Buffer,
wetlands.
yeah. Yeah.
So it has to be cured through the conservation and Bill and Joanna.
Yeah.
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 So I can set up maybe a meeting next week and try to
Yeah.
see what we can do to
We can
straighten the
start putting
situation
this
out.
back on track.
Sure. And again, we can get it on the, for the next meeting, and if, you know, we need more time, it can always,
When is the next meeting?
the 24th.
Okay. I think that Mr. Hill is gonna need more time than that to revise the plan. We can certainly have that meeting, but there'll probably be deliverables from us that won't be in by the 24th. And I know you need them in advance before your,
Right,
Should we postpone to the following meeting?
sure. Yeah, October, what is it, October? 10th or 11th? Huh? Second Tuesday? 8th,
Yeah, for
okay,
us
the
it's-
8th, October 8th.
is there any point in trying to make the
Not
24th?
one time with the Conservation Commission on it tomorrow night.
Hmm?
And also in time to get the Conservation Commission. So,
It's quite possible, but I can have this plan
Right.
revised, it should be in the next week.
Okay, all right.
Just the other parts, the
Right.
mechanicals of it.
Right.
Excuse me, Madam
Right.
Chairman, so maybe I misspoke. If you wouldn't mind just continuing it to your next meeting, and if we haven't delivered everything, then I can communicate with the board and
Sure.
ask for another continuance. But
Yeah, all right,
our client would like to.
okay. So entertain a motion to continue to September 11th? I'm sorry, 24th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we'll see you then.
Thank you very much.
As I said last time, I don't think anybody has a problem with the concept of what
Right.
you're doing. It's
Just
just
the
the
execution.
mechanicals of it.
Right,
Right.
the execution, right.
Yep, okay, we're gonna try and get it right.
Thank you, Tom.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. So Massive, you continue, right? Okay, so the 7:30 applicant Massive Family LLC requesting modification of site plan approval. That one is going to also be continued to September 24th.
Okay.
And the 7:35 applicant Quail Services requesting site plan approval to allow the operation of a heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and duct cleaning business under section 3.2.5.6 of the Auburn zoning bylaws on property located at 111 Washington Street, Auburn, Mass., map 27, parcel 25. Could I have a motion to open the hearing, please?
Make a motion to open a public hearing.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Hi there.
How you doing?
Please introduce
James
yourself. James Quayle. Okay. Want to tell us a little bit about?
I own a heating, cooling, plumbing business. I bought these two buildings, J.N. Phillips leases one. I would like to move my business into the other one.
Which one?
If you look where Mass Mobility Wheelchair was, so it's 109.
Yeah.
And J.N. Phillips should be 111, according to what the town has told me. I know they're labeled wrong right now. That one.
Here it is, yeah. Yeah, they just updated not that long ago.
Is that way down towards Price Chopper?
Is that all the way on the
right-hand
left,
side.
going down right before Price Chopper, set way back?
On the right.
On the
You're
right.
coming,
So
you're
it's on the
going
right?
into Worcester from, yeah, on the right.
From Auburn up here.
Yeah, right before,
Right?
Acorn Acres, the mobile home park is right behind it.
The mobile home.
Okay.
So storage of,
There's, right now, there's 3 women that work in the office answering phones, and then we store equipment and supplies there.
okay, and no vehicles.
There's vehicles in and out. All the techs bring their trucks home, so the only vehicles that are already parked there are any spare vehicles that aren't filled, a trailer, or anybody that, there's the women that are inside answering the phones.
And you're not going to be making any changes?
No.
It's going to, you're just moving in?
There's already an existing site plan approval,
There's an existing plan.
drainage and
Sorry?
drainage, everything.
Yeah, it's all up to
Yeah,
snuff.
because those buildings were.
The buildings are
not that
only
long
6
ago.
years old.
Yeah, yeah.
The only change is the parking and handicap spots. It's the only
Right.
really proposed change. Right now, they're driving.
Steve, did you have any questions? Nick?
No.
John?
All the stock stored inside, I would assume.
Yes, nothing stored outside.
Probably disappeared for a while.
Almost guarantee that.
I think somebody was there from the town marking something out in the parking lot. I don't know what it was. I asked the woman at J and Phillips, she said it's probably taggers from the mobile home park, but it's arrows. I don't think a tagger's drawing arrows.
What color are the arrows?
Green.
That's sewer.
Right in the middle of the parking lot, to the left, and then an arrow actually going up the wooden fence. They were marking something, I don't know what it was.
Might be sewer easement there, I don't know. Could be. That all falls down to the pump station behind McDonald's and it goes over there to Blackstone.
Did you have anything you wanted to add to this, Adam, or?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
It's all the existing building and everything. Like I said, just the one item that was actually
Well,
not.
it's a request for site plan approval.
Yeah.
So it needs to almost like have waivers requested, and or are we just gonna vote to waive the site plan approval?
I don't think,
And leave it as the existing site plan
even
approval?
as
As existing.
it's an existing approval, but I think you should just vote to have a new approval, so it's his approval. It's his new building. He owns it now, so that's approval.
And you'll attach a copy of the former site plan with it?
Well, you're not gonna be doing vehicle repairs and things like that on site, it's just strictly, they come
The
in. they
garage
load
is
their trucks.
used, so there will be like a delivery truck that'll show up a couple times a week with a Tommy gate that will unload air conditioners, furnaces into the garage. So the garage will actually be full of equipment.
Mhm.
So no, there'll never be any vehicle repairs or anything.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
No.
All set? Anything from the audience? Nope.
Marking the handicap spots, they just told me to draw on the
What you
site
should do
plan.
is get a striping company to go in and mark your spaces in the legal designated way.
Yeah.
How that, what size they're supposed to be, cross hatch on both sides.
Okay.
And it's not a giant expense at all.
Yeah, 'cause
Probably
they
a couple
said
of
just
hundred,
draw on
$200 or
there
$300
and
bucks
mark
for
them.
your site,
Yeah.
probably at the most.
Or
Yeah.
mark them on a plan or mark them on the pavement.
They told me to mark them on the plan
Yeah.
where they want them, and I said, where do you want them? They said, wherever you want to put them, one for each building.
Well,
So I
there's
marked
kinda-
them, and then they said you could go in the parking lot and mark the handicap spot.
Where they're marked is, one is right next to the building,
On the
and
right
one
hand
is
side?
on the opposite side of the driveway.
Okay.
That's Route 20.
All right.
So they're,
One for each building.
it'll be right here, and this will be,
Okay, and so as a condition of the approval, you'll have to have that done professionally and to the town regulations as far as size and everything, okay? And that building, and for that building. Yep.
If you call somebody, some striping company, they'll kind of guide you too. You'll have it done right, for your own sake too, in case anybody ever got hurt.
I think you have to put a sign there, not just put it on the pavement.
Or you have to have the sign up on the thing.
It's just a little, yeah, just a little blue sign, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing serious,
Yep. So that'll be a condition of the approval.
that's fine.
Okay, so the motion to close the hearing,
Need a motion to close the hearing?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to approve with the condition that the handicap, or the ADA accessible spots be professionally done with signage and that should do it, right?
Is there a time limit on that?
Time what?
You accept
Line
the-
striping,
30 days, I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
30
because
days,
you
60
should get it
days.
now.
I don't think it'll take long.
no, it
Couple
shouldn't take
hours.
long, but your window is
Yeah,
closing
just
as far as the end of the
Yeah, yeah.
season and the painting and
Yeah,
things like that
because when the
go,
weather
so.
gets wetter and it
Yeah.
gets cold and the paint doesn't dry right.
So 30 days, okay?
Hmm.
And so, motion to approve,
I'll make a motion to approve with those conditions.
okay, second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks. 711 Southbridge Street, Domino's, requesting site plan approval under section 3.2.5.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for restaurant use Domino's Pizza on property located at 711 Southbridge Street, Auburn, Mass, map 61, parcel 37. Looks like we're continuing that one to the September 24th meeting as well.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to continue?
I'll make the motion to continue.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Wendy,
Pardon?
not to interrupt, did you actually continue them with that?
Yes.
Hearings you did, okay,
Yeah.
I missed that.
It went kind of fast.
So we have a site plan modification, Frank Pandolfo, 310 Washington Street.
They're over by you, yeah.
What is 310 Washington?
It's at the corner of Route 20 and Old Street, Shell Station.
Oh, right, okay, you did say that, yep. I
This
have a
is for your
short
car
memory.
wash.
Sure. Okay, that was. Car wash kiosk, come back and please introduce yourselves.
Frank Pandolfo.
Bridget Smith, Vice President, Norianji.
Okay. All right. Want to tell us a little bit about what it is you're trying to accomplish?
Presently, there's 4 existing vacuums. We're going to replace those with a different style boom. Yep.
Okay.
And then on the car wash, there's a self-service pay station. We're going to change that to a modified booth, like a pay booth, unmanned booth.
So this is what you're proposing?
Correct.
Okay. That's what it looks like now, that's what you're proposing?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. All right, and then on that, they have the old canister style vacuum, and you're looking for the big
The boom ones,
boom
yeah.
one goes over.
Saves a lot of space.
Yeah,
Easier to use.
Oh, yeah?
yeah. Swing around the vehicle. Do you have any questions? See, Nick, John, Rob, anything? Yeah. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, they came to they came to DCG a few weeks ago. I don't believe there were really any issues.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the site plan modification.
Can we, sorry, make a motion to determine it's a minor modification first and then...
Determine that it's a minor modification, okay?
I'll make a motion that we determine that it is a minor modification.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And now I'll entertain a motion for the site plan modification.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan modification.
Okay, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry it took so long to get to you.
That's okay,
that was bad. Oh, thank you.
All right, minutes, 2719, any
I make a
adjustments?
motion to approve minutes as is.
Okay, anybody? Okay, no further discussion. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You signed the decision for Webster 5.
You were,
I wasn't here, but I did sign, I did watch the meeting. Do I need to? I'm not gonna sign it. Oh, right. Okay.
I don't see any of the others for...
And the public comment, 519 Washington Street lighting plan?
Yesterday was the 10th. I can't believe it was September.
Personally, rest of us, I don't see them.
Good night.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Aye.
Reorganization. Is it that time of year again already?
Yeah,
Reorg?
yeah, usually they do it after your...
They asked to wait last
July.
week. So you were here.
Okay. So, nominations, right?
Yeah.
I will nominate Wendy as chairman for the next year.
Second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'll nominate, yeah, because that's the way we did it.
Yeah. Nominate
I'll nominate John
John.
as vice chairman for the next year.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. For the next meeting.
They're gonna love you, John.
Oh,
They
yeah.
already do.
They hate me.
All right, the next meeting is September 24th,
You
and
wanted to talk
do we
about
have anything
the
else?
Other matters, you wanted to talk about the bank on South Street and possibly clear cut or something like that.
Yeah, I just, I had a question. I went by the bank that we approved on Southbridge Street, down the old Wonder Bar. I just,
ECU?
yeah, I just want to make sure that, I noticed that a lot of trees are missing.
Central one.
And we had, stated that they were gonna keep a lot of the trees there. And I just wanna be sure that, it's being done to the plan, because I can see all of the houses, all of them, and that was not the plan. So I just wanna make sure that, somebody goes out and takes a look at that.
They really went more down the point than I thought they were.
And we
gonna.
nail it now,
Maybe that's what it
rather
is.
than waiting till later.
All right.
And then, we still haven't come up with anything on Briarcliff as far as we need to sit down and have further discussion.
On where we are, and what we're gonna do there. On
Yeah.
what we're gonna, where's the bond, what we need to warm it up again, rehash it.
Yeah. And so should that be a meeting with town council and Julie Jacobson, town manager, or?
And Bill?
And Bill?
Yeah.
And find out, where we are. We did note that on the plans, they were supposed to provide, was it sod?
Oh.
To hold the hills. What was it?
No, it's 4 inches, a minimum of 4 inches of loam.
4 inches of loam.
And it's sprinkled out there.
Yeah, and that was not done. And, plus the drainage is,
I mean, the direction of water onto the property of another is rampant up there.
yeah, it's horrific.
And,
But that's not what the bond covers, I don't think, unfortunately.
Well, we have to get it out and
that's-
look at it
But
and
that's
have-
one of my
have
other
Pennington tell
questions, is it's a performance bond,
Right.
right? So the job is supposed to be performed to a standard. And does it,
For the roadway,
it's for the roadway only?
public utilities. Pretty
Yeah,
sure of
it's-
that.
It's a letter of credit.
Yeah, because we have a couple of
It's a
different
letter of
kinds
credit.
that we
So
do.
if it's a letter of credit, does that mean we can apply it to anything in the neighborhood? I don't know.
Right, we're still limited to the roadway. and,
You know what I think we need to do, Mrs. Chairman? Is
Yes.
Adam or someone should explain to us the three options we have, and do we need that of another that's more easily understood and more easily drawn on when we have this problem? Because all they do is equal litigation, because the other party's gonna say, no, you're not drawing on it, I
Yeah.
oppose it.
And that's something I'd really like to, discuss further. What is it that we can do that will ensure that whatever monies that they put aside to make sure that, the work is done correctly, why does that have to be limited just to roadway and utilities?
How do we put
I
it
don't
on
think
to
it does if you
properties?
make that condition in the beginning.
Okay. So a couple of things. We need to have grading
See what it
plans,
is.
all lots, right? We don't require that currently. Or is that's something new, right? But we should have grading.
That should be required.
Yeah, it should be required for every lot. We want a grading,
Yes.
yeah. And also the ability to use whatever money they put aside for whatever work needs to be done that they've not, again, creating water issues on other people's property, which is supposed to be a no-no.
And the only time we can maybe get them to sign that is when they're coming in and want what
And
they
they
want.
want what they want, correct, right. Like the cat, the horse is out of the barn now. I mean, but
Correct.
going forward.
When does
when does when's that expectation? Is that like forever? I mean, like if you finish the subdivision, that sort of thing, and a lot of these issues may not come up for.
I think once it's
2 or
accepted
3
by the
years,
town, it's
you know
over.
what I mean? Okay.
And the bond gets given
Right,
back
that's
if there's
when the
anything.
road's accepted by the town doesn't accept the property lot in the grant.
Right.
So we gotta modify it or do something with it or ask someone how we do it.
Yeah, how do we go
Other
about this
towns.
really? We need some guidance.
For the
And
future?
who would be the person to guide us with that? Would it be
Town
town council?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really where we'd like to go with this. Are we all in agreement with that?
Yeah, and I think it would be beneficial for us to just have town council in and explain that to us as a group, and then that way it's on record that this is what we want.
Prepare them for what he's gonna do and what we may have questions
Can we
on.
make it a new town bylaw, I wonder?
I think.
That's what we could ask him. If we create a new one, is it legal and?
Like if you make something that
Yeah,
is
it
like
is
subdivision required.
Yeah, subdivision regs. It
Even
becomes
that
a,
project tonight seems like something that you can have exceptions and things like that. We should have the same thing in any subdivision reg. That we have the ability to make these decisions based on past experiences.
agreed. Agreed on that.
Would you like to see them again, can attend a meeting so we can have an actual meeting, or do we want to?
Can we do
How do you
this-
guys
can we
want
do this by phone?
If we get a quick meeting, if we have a quick meeting, have them come at the
I
end
would
or
prefer, yeah.
so that we don't have to, everybody is not sitting there.
Right.
Yeah, have the
It might even be
last item
better
on the
instead to
agenda,
do
so
something
right now he
separate
could
that
sit with
way,
us and, yeah.
He doesn't
Because
have
it's
to wait
not a
until 9
meeting,
o'clock.
it's just a
Right.
discussion of what we can do and can't do. Or I don't know if that's
Before the
considered.
meeting as a group, that's
It's a meeting.
kind of a meeting.
Yeah,
Well, advertise it to whatever's known.
yeah, and anybody wants to sit in on it, they're welcome to come.
Can we do it on another besides Tuesday?
I think just time
Or
wise, it should
Tuesday,
be done
that's
at a
not
different
a-
time because I think it's a little
Not another
inconvenient to
Tuesday.
Well, if
have.
we
Look
can try
at
to
a,
coordinate
look at a
the
night where the
time.
schedule's not
The
too bad.
schedule's not too heavy.
This is the longest
Yeah.
we've been here in a while.
Yeah, wow, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right, so it's a plan.
I'll try to see if you can come to a late meeting, at the end of a meeting, in, say, next month.
Can you also explain the web thing?
I can see.
The W web and see that we'd like
Yeah,
to.
an
we'd like
update
to
on
know
that too,
what-
yeah.
Where it is it
We're all being
resolved
sued,
or?
so it would probably be a good idea to
Not
know.
me.
Not you?
Doesn't serve.
Don't even acknowledge it, you
Nope.
do whatever.
I never got it.
You didn't? I finally went down to the post office and picked it up. I kept getting notification. I had no idea I was being served.
We all set?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.